Well, a couple of things we must go over. First and foremost is the Super Bowl. Now, just so that you know, I really don't care anything about football one way or the other, except for the Super Bowl. Or anything that I have money on. I haven't bet on anything in a long time, but then I care drastically. But normally in terms of the over, the under, and the final, who scores what during what period, I really don't care one way or the other. But if you do want to enjoy any kind of sports game, with the exception of bowling, bet. But yesterday was amazing because it showed you a couple of things. First of all, the perfect analog between the Falcons and Hillary Clinton. Now, as you can imagine, the Hillary cyborgs and mutants that I have to deal with on a regular basis, the Hillary fans and acolytes and zombies and apostles and minions and lickspittles and bootlickers and obsequious fawning apostles of this evil queen, they will say, no, that's different because Hillary won the popular vote, and they keep repeating this trope, this meme, because it's all they've got and it's all they know. Remember, take California out of the equation. I mean, it's still true, technically speaking, but take California out of the equation, which is an anomaly, which is the reason for the Electoral College, and Trump wins the popular vote. But don't even bother talking to them. You must understand something. Hillary Clinton supporters, let me rephrase this. They're not Hillary Clinton supporters, anti-Trumpers, anti-Trump acolytes, anti-Trump hate mongers. They don't want to hear anything about anything other than just this blanket of anti-Trump stuff, rhetoric, what have you. But you must look at something. What was it, 28-3 or whatever it was? I mean, they had it. They absolutely had it. There was no doubt. Statistics showed that nobody has ever had that or enjoyed that particular point spread. Nobody ever came back that far. They devastated Brady during the first half or whatever it was. And then, lo and behold, here he comes. Who happens to be, by the way, a Trump supporter. Now, I only bring this up because it's a perfect analogy. It goes to show you how people believed, especially with the Hillary surrogate media, who said repeatedly that Hillary would win absolutely, positively, 98% of the chance. The analog was perfect. The analog was absolutely perfect. How this worked, how this was phrased, I thought was an incredible thing. Now, people, of course, don't want to in any way suggest that Hillary was at fault, they were at fault, or that Trump did not win. You have to understand this. It's very, very important to understand. People will fight every inch to somehow reconstruct the reality that Trump did not win, and he did. I don't want to go through this again. I didn't vote for him. I voted for me. Lotus for POTUS, Lionel of the United States. But it was perfect. Another thing I want you to know, how many of those incredible football players, those leviathans, those behemoths on the gridiron, how much of them will one day end up drooling in their oatmeal because of CTE and tau protein clusters and spindles and that goop that enlaces neurons? How many of them will be forever drastically affected by the horrors that football imparts? Nobody cares about that. We don't care. Why? Because bread and circuses. Because football is there for a reason. It's a diversion, just like sports around the world. It's a human endeavor. Juvenile was right. Bread and circuses. Also, did you notice the militaristic flyover, the pro-war celebration? Those, I like the flags. That was very nice, though. I think it's a wonderful thing. The connection between America, this country, and a sporting event, I've never understood, but the flag was very, very nice. But military, remember, military flyovers, military jets and the like are instruments of death. They're not there to show like, hey, look how great we fly. No, it's to create and cement that meme, that Pavlovian conditioning between military good, American exceptionalism, and all that stuff. It is done. Brainwashing, maybe propaganda, but that's exactly what it's about. Remember that. And also keep in mind that the NFL charges the military for that. Think about that one. The NFL charges the military. Now, we must also talk about Lady Gaga. A couple of things. first, I thought for sure, because I always expect the worst, because I always expect things to fail, because I always think that maybe, common sense will not prevail, that Lady Gaga would have done something against Trump. She would have done something. She would have grabbed herself. She would have had another equipment meltdown or wardrobe meltdown or malfunction. Remember that years ago with Janet Jackson, where you had to have the visual acuity of a fighter pilot to notice this flashed, areola and nipple, that I still don't see. Even when you slow it down, I don't know how anybody even saw any of this, but that's why I'm not a fighter pilot, I guess. But she didn't do this. But she started off with a medley of patriotic American hits, including This Land Is Your Land. Now, what some people are reading into this is that was a selection. That was a slam against Trump because that was written by Woody Guthrie to address the Berlin Wall, and there's a host of reasons before that. That might be, but that's not what people think when they hear it. They think it's an American tune. America the Beautiful, Star Spangled Banner, This Land Is Your Land. Thank God it wasn't a Lee Greenwood, proud to be an American. That just by virtue of saturation and frequency, I just can't take it anymore. It just is. It's like you may not remember this, but that horrible summer when You Light Up My Life was the hit song Debbie Boone, and every 5 minutes on every radio show there was You Light Up My Life, and the only thing that it lit up was my dyspepsia and distress after hearing this song for the umpteenth time. But what's interesting to note is Gaga received a passel, an absolute fury, a fury and flurry and series of just incredible negative tweets and social media comments about how she had that moment. She dropped the mic. I guess that's a big thing. Dropped the mic, the finale, dropped the mic, and dropped the ball. She could have done something to use this moment somehow to determine. This is amazing. For some reason, I'm talking right now, and Siri is going off on her own in the background. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed this, by the way? You probably can't hear this, but in the background. Do you know that sometimes my wife and I will be talking about, I don't know what, and then sure enough, on Google, there will be ads for that thing that we're talking about. Very odd. But going back to it. There is a thing right now, this scrum, this juvenescent, adolescent scrum riot, these conglomerates, these, groups and cabals and unions of people who join together and fiercely scream anti-Trump ideas to the exclusion of rational thought and the like. And they have replaced mainstream media. We'll get to that in a moment, but they are mainstream media. But that Gaga, instead of being applauded for did a good show, she came out on the, suspended. I would have had the cables darker so you couldn't see them. I'm kind of more old school. I know there were cables involved. I know from the whole Spider-Man thing here on Broadway, but aside from that, it was okay. I don't recognize any of that music at all as being in any way listenable to me. I would never listen to that. It's not that I'm from a different era. There are people who are 20 years old who don't like that. But aside from that, she's a tremendous performer. She actually sings, unlike Madonna. She sings. She can play music. She's a musician. She's great. She's trying to change her image. She's going to be going next into country. She's trying to keep that one foot in the Gaga world, if you will, and then maintaining somehow this connection, to the Tony Bennett thing. But she's trying her best, and she's doing, I think, a very good job from a practical point of view. But what you must understand is that she's being derided by people who wanted her to come out again and say something anti-Trump because it's become the pastime. What they don't understand is that they're habituating the world to it. It's losing its oomph. I mean, what are you going to do next? We are right now, 11, this is, 17 days, 16 days yesterday, 2 weeks, let's say, into the Trump presidency, and already you're going through all of this nonsense. It's just wearing thin. You need to change something. And by the way, Democrats, you've got to come up with a platform. You've got to come up with a platform. And by the way, Trump, you better come up with some fast-tracked, I know you've just started, but some mass traction, either tax reform, which is really big among your constituency, something about, serious healthcare reform, infrastructure, something other than these little executive orders and the like, okay? So that's going to be critical. But that was the whole Gaga thing. It was nice. It was okay. She never said anything, and that was it. And people are upset with her. Another thing, as far as the ads go, I have cited a very interesting site to this, but you do know that the Budweiser ad about Anheuser or Bush, whoever it was wrong. Made up, fake news. Never happened, fake history. What do they call that? Relative facts or selective facts or whatever the phrase that Kellyanne Conway called it. I forget what it was. But this story about the whole Budweiser thing, which is now being subject to boycott, it never happened. It never happened. So just to let you know, it's a great story. Never happened. It's a lie. Never happened. The other thing, too, is speaking of Kellyanne Conway, Sean Spicer is going to be gone. Two things. The Melissa McCarthy parody, I thought was for the first time great. Great acting. She's a great comedic actress. Great acting. Great writing. But he does not have that, for a number of reasons, the how do I say this? The Trump panache, the Trump style, the Trump, whatever you want to call it. I know what you're saying. Steve Bannon, I know you've got this fixation on Steve Bannon, only you do. But watch. Prediction, he's going to be gone. He just doesn't have it, and he's a bit of a distraction. And that, I mean, it's not that he's obstreperous, but he's not doing it the right way. But going back to the Budweiser thing. Couple of points to note. These ads don't do anything. They don't do anything. The people, who are the really important ad? Who are the big ad companies today? Who? Skittles? I don't think so. They're paying, what, $5 million for this? And we watch them, and then we say, gee, did that make any sense? Speaking of Melissa McCarthy, the Kia ad or whatever, it was nice. I kind of got it. Sort of got it. The idea was that while people are trying to be environmentally healthy or sympathetic, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really compare to, well, it is in line with the Kia, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point is, she's a great actress, but these ads don't make any difference anymore. Nobody's going to go out and buy Budweiser because of this. Who are the big ads today? Who are the really big tech companies? Gadgets and Facebook and Google and this and that and Snapchat or whatever. They don't go to TV ads. This is a relic. What you're seeing was something that is there just so we can talk about the commercial. It's almost a movie because the connection that is being made between the commercial itself and sales does not work. It's gone. It's through. Keep in mind that what you saw last night was the past. This is going to end very, very shortly. Years ago, you, depending upon your age, you might have remembered a couple of things. One of the best commercials the best and the worst commercials ever was the one for Alka-Seltzer, where they said, where it was, how do I phrase this? It was, Mamma Mia, that's some spicy meatball. Remember that one? Okay, good. People loved it. Great story, great production, great acting, great everything. Only problem, nobody knew who it was. Nobody knew it was Alka-Seltzer, but nobody knew this. They thought it was a spaghetti sauce, or they didn't know. There was a great commercial years ago for ring around the collar, ring around the collar. And okay, what was it? People ask. I don't know. It was Whisk. So while you may see a great ad that makes a lot of sense, it might be terrific, that's great, it's got to sell the product. So let me repeat and reiterate and perorate. What you saw yesterday was a look at the past. It's a new world, and nobody, TV ads, TV, let me just tell you this, TV, different story. Let me see, I've got some notes here. Let's talk about this. This is very interesting. This was a part of this, kind of, sort of. Bill O'Reilly's interview with the president. Okay? Now, Bill O'Reilly, he is a genius who has basically taken the guy at the bar, the guy at the end of the bar, the average, Joe Six-Pack, and dropped it down a number of levels, even below that. These guys, this guy, these guys, pinheads, idiots, jerk. What are you talking about? That kind of an attitude. Look, it works. I'm not criticizing it. It works. He's number one. That's fine. But the idea was that, okay, and it probably went something like this. Because they know each other. They're great friends. O'Reilly and Trump. Okay, look, I'm going to bring up this Putin thing. And I'm going to promote the fact that, why are you talking to this killer? He's a killer. I'm going to get a little harsh with you at first. I'm going to be tough with you at first. I'm going to come out and act like I'm really going to challenge you. And then I'm just not going to say anything. You're going to respond to me, and I back off. And that's exactly what happened. So he said something to the effect, hey, how come you talk about Putin? Putin, he's a killer. The guy's a killer. Okay. He backed off. Trump responded. I don't even know what he said, but the gist of it was, yeah, but who are we to talk about who's a killer or not? Now, spot on. See, Americans don't want to hear this. Americans don't want to hear anything confound or interrupt the great exceptionalism theory. We're good people. We're great people. We don't kill people. Oh, yes, we do. We have killed. I mean, we're up there. We are up there. You can call it anything you want. It's not just Obama. It's Bush. It's Clinton. It's everybody. We have done this. Vietnam. What was Vietnam about? We do it, and when we get it wrong, we don't even apologize. We don't even say, we made a big mistake. That was stupid. Boy, that was ill-founded. That was ill-conceived. Sorry, my bad. When we hit people with Hellfire missiles and drones, when Al-Awlaki and his 16-year-old son get blasted, an American citizen, we don't say anything. Oops, that happens. Hey, stuff happens. What are you going to do? But that was probably one of the most important and poignant moments out of the entire event, and it made complete sense. But Americans don't want to hear this. So it was very good in a sense. O'Reilly, being the heel, but Trump coming back exactly with what he said, which is true. Now, if you want to, if you have this concern, because see, the anti-Trump forces, again, it's not the pro-Hillary forces, but the anti-Trump people, they believe that the rest of the world think? Like they were pretending they were upset about Turnbull and the Australians? Like they care about this? Oh, did you hear what he said? He hung the phone up on Australia. Australia? You don't care about Australia. You just anything. You'll jump on anything to act, like it's all you've got. You don't know what to say anymore. You're just stuck. This Trump, he doesn't care what I say. So you dissed Australia? Oh Jesus! Oh my God! Oh my God! You wow! Oh my! What? So that's where we are with that one. But the rest of the country, the rest of the world, I should say, really wants to know, how do we get along? How do we say this? How do we not address the fact that we kill so many people on a regular basis? Not only that, we fund people. I still want somebody to explain Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and the horrors that occur with our help and with our assistance. All right? Think about that one. Now, let's talk about some other things too. This came up. You must understand this about, again, the Hillary, I keep saying it. It's not the Hillary group. It's the anti-Trump folks. You give them a thing. For example, you ever go to a restaurant and sometimes you get there early, or maybe you walk by and all of the servers are sitting around. By the way, one of these days I'm going to do a story called The Truth Behind Olive Garden. And it will be the scariest movie you've ever seen in your life. I'm just going to leave it at that. What I've heard about Olive Garden, wow. And anybody who comes to New York City and goes to Olive Garden deserves to be incarcerated. Deserves to be pulled off the street and incarcerated. We have some of the best mom and pop real red sauce tomato joints. What do? They go to Times Square, Bubba Gump. I don't even know if that's open still. What people go to, I don't know. But there is sometimes you walk by and these servers will be told, okay, here's a special. Here's what we're going to push. Here's what you say. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the thing. Here's the special. Push this. Push the... Okay, great. What anti-Trump people do is they meet every day, theoretically, figuratively, and they say, okay, here's the story. Here's our thing. Here's our message. We're going to say this today. And we're going to say today, how dare Trump call Judge Robart, Judge James Robart of the Federal District Court in Seattle, how dare he call, and I saw this. I wish I could show you one friend of mine, I say friend, who was the best anti-Trump person. She is the greatest. I mean, feigned, fake, synthetic indignation. And I'm thinking to myself, if you let me tell you what I object to with Trump, we'd have something to talk about. But we don't ever get to that because you're getting upset over the most stupid reasons. But anyway, how dare this man Trump dare call into question the integrity of a federal judge? How dare this man? Oh my God. What? So-called judge. How dare you? How dare? And this friend of mine in particular, who was so full of shite, she's septic. And I want somebody to say, okay, so let me get this straight. You don't believe in calling into question either the judiciary or the federal judiciary. Somebody said, Russell Baker said that a judge is a lawyer appointed by a politician. I mean, you can look at it that way. There are some esteemed jurists that I think were terrific. Judge Friendly, Learned Hand, Cardozo. There's just some Judge Tawney, no. And Scalia in many respects. But this same person, who all of a sudden was handed this thing, get upset over okay, how dare you? I said, but you were the one who was yelling at Neil Gorsuch for being a right-wing Nazi when he wasn't. You were the one who'd been screaming about Judge Scalia and Bork and Alito and maybe the old days Rehnquist. That's what Scalia... Nobody's read the Scalia opinion. And yet all of a sudden they're saying, how dare you? You see, it's not hypocrisy. It's the fact that they don't know what they're talking about. Remember the idea of professional whalers? Oh, there's a great name for them. Maybe you can comment or email me, but there was a professional name, the name for the professional whalers. You give somebody money and they come to your funeral and they cry, kind of like the dear leader in North Korea. And if you ask them, what are you crying for? Is it because the guy died? Did you know him? No. Do you feel this upset? No. Why are you crying? Because I'm supposed to cry. That's what I do. I'm an actor or an actress. That's what I do. That's what these people are. Do you really care about Judge Robart? No. Do you know where the the U.S. District Court in Seattle is? No. Do you know what the hierarchy of the federal court system is? No. I have no idea. Why? I'm told, like the waiters and waitresses who meet at 3 o'clock before the dinner shift starts, I'm told what the specials are, and I repeat them. That's it. Or you can eat bread. What which is another story. Believe me, I'm going to talk about the all-you-can-eat bread. One of these days, I'm going to tell you the story. But anyway, and that's it. Nobody said that. And what they also do is they're still pushing this fact that Trump said it was, and this is where he was just an idiot. Don't call this a ban. Don't call this a Muslim ban. Call this a moratorium, immigration moratorium. Say it differently. But it didn't matter to people like my archetypal friend. They just jump on this. And I want to say finally something about, back to the football thing. And this is very, very important. I want to leave you with this. The brain should not be messed with. Thank you very much. You can write that down. You can quote me on that. The brain should not be messed with. As I am older, as I start to see, not friends of mine, we're not really there yet, but kind of relatives who are going into, and you'll see it if you already haven't, dementia, and people who have momentary, lapses and problems. Not to mention just the whole notion of mental illness, which is different than this. Because don't forget, neurology versus psychiatry. Neurology is hardware, and psychiatry is software. That's how that works. But seeing at the, relatives in the throes, the last stages of their life, and you realize, wow, I never want to be like that. It really frightens me, the idea of having something affect your brain. Because, your memory, what your memory is, it's who you are. If I take away your memory, it's not you anymore. It's not you. What you are is what you lived, what you went through, where you're from, what you experienced, good or bad. That's who you are. If you can't remember that, if you can't access that, I've stolen your personality. That's why when people use drugs or alcohol or anything that affect memory or the ability to think, anything that gets in the way of the ability to recall a joke, recall a name, recall something where you're slower. What is that worth to you? What is that worth? Well, right now there are people who are suffering chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTEs, from constant head trauma. And when you move your head forward, and the worst is side to side, that little walnut inside the shell moves. And when it hits the back of your head or front of your head, the little micro trauma, peeling away the little vasculature that kind of holds it in place, the wiring, it gets pulled apart and affected. And then after a while, with repeated hitting and movement, you build up this tau, T-A-U, from the Greek letter tau. Tau, upsilon, phi, keep C, tau, T-A-U. Proteins that build up in this gummy, spindly, gelatinous, mucilaginous paste that goops up your brain tissue, neurons and the like. You can't tell if you have this until you die. You have to actually freeze and do sections of the brain to observe this. They're going to be able to determine CTE and tau proteins and the damage in vivo, so to speak, when you're alive. And when they do that, you're going to be amazed. Girls in particular, people who played soccer, who took headers, soccer, think like, soccer's not violent. It doesn't have to be violent. Headers, letting kids jostle around like that, repeatedly having their head back and forth. And the helmet is my favorite. The helmet may protect a fracture, but it prevents or actually causes a bigger weapon to be used in terms of hurting somebody. But it doesn't really do anything. It's that back and forth motion. And we see it in Muhammad Ali and others, and people, dementia, pugilistica, and Alzheimer's, and all types of things. You're going to see one day, because the game is faster, stronger, harder, you're going to see younger and younger people drooling in their oatmeal. It's not going to be funny at all. People that you really know and love, like Mike Webster is a horrible case, but you're going to see college, high school, more suicides, violence, the ability, your judgment, the executive portions of your brain, judgment, reason, anger, rational thought, all of that affected permanently by this type of behavior. Boxing is gone. Remember, at the turn of the 20th century, the two biggest front page sports were boxing and horse racing. That was it. You cannot look at anybody who's been in boxing for a long time and not see any permanent effect. You don't see boxing champs in the Ivy League. Nobody does that anymore. I mean, if they do, it's not even contact. Yet we watch this football game knowing what happens. We know it. We know it. We see what's happening, and we just don't care. It's the same way we act with ourselves. We are so good. It's not really Americans, but humans in general, at hearing stuff and rationalizing it. Hey, don't smoke. You don't hear this anymore, but you used to hear it in the old days. Hey, don't smoke. My grandfather smoked. You know, if it's meant to be you, that's it. Hey, lose weight. Well, I'll lose weight. Well, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. You know, stop drinking. Stop doing drugs. Oh, it's okay. I heard somebody say one time, I said, you know, marijuana, by the way, one of the biggest myths of all time is how harmless. And after all, it's legal. That's my favorite. It's legal. A lot of things are legal. It won't kill you. That's not the only reason not to do something, is because it won't kill you. So just think about this. We watched this game yesterday. Millions and millions of people. See people hit. Not even making contact. Just getting their head jostled. Over and over and over again. And we know it. We know it, but we don't care. We don't care because to think about this, it interferes with our ability to enjoy, and that is psychopathy. That is the psychopath. That is the ability to be able to detach heart from head. That is what that's about. The way we detach ourselves. We are a country and a society and a population of psychopaths. How about that? All right, everybody. Have a nice day. Don't ever change. I mean this sincerely. Don't forget to like this particular video. Also, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate the growth from you. Also, comment below. And I cannot tell you, I love this so much. The folks, I still have, by the way, my gift from our friend in the Netherlands, these porcelain cufflinks. I love these. Oh, send me free stuff. Absolutely. Gifts, money, send money. Send me money. Free money. Free. I don't have to do anything. Just checks, cash. I'll take it. But I love when you have a picture of me on your cell phone or something in your country, because you get a lot of foreign stuff. I have a wonderful picture of me at a Dutch museum for Rembrandt. It's just beautiful. You know, the juxtaposition is enough to make you think, interesting. So I love that. Send that. It means a lot to me. In any event, thank you so much for listening. And always comment as you see fit.